House of Cards Season 5 is finally here. When we last saw the Underwoods, they were 3 weeks out from a presidential election, starting a war and fighting off a journalistic bombshell. And the real world was a very different place 15 months ago. I thought Season 4 was a return to form for the show after a pretty lackluster Season 3. If you want to know my thoughts on all 4 seasons of House of Cards so far, please check out my review of House of Cards Season 4. In this video, I'm going to review the first half, just the first half of Season 5, episodes 1 through 6. I'm going to watch 2 episodes, record my thoughts, repeat, and just so we're clear, yes, I will be talking spoilers. Without further ado, let's jump into House of Cards Season 5. Let's talk about the first 2 episodes. First off, I don't think it's any coincidence that this season is pushing Claire to the forefront. She is the first thing you see this season. In the second episode, you have her face morphing into Frances's. You have the episode ending with a jack-o'-lantern of her and Frances. Of course, her jack-o'-lantern is in front. She's even decorating the Oval Office, picking out a rug. Claire, there is symbolism here of Claire taking over. I have some theories on where this will lead. I'm not going to speculate, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this symbolism continues to build throughout the season. So these episodes involved a lot of table setting. I feel it's a clunkier start, not a bad start, but a clunkier start than Season 4, which was generally overall streamlined, the 4 episodes leading up to Frank getting shot. It's clear that there's a lot of table setting going on now, building to, you know, some sort of twist in, I presume, the near future, given how fast the show generally likes to move things. There's so many supporting characters now, and not the ones that we met in Season 1. No more Remy, Jackie nowhere to be seen, and these new players like the tech guy just aren't all that engaging. I like that Seth is apparently ready to go to war with Doug. I assume this is, you know, about Doug sort of demanding his loyalty. And I'm excited to see where this goes, because really there's no other plot line to do with Seth, and there's also no other plot line to do with Tom Yates, who not only is he looking more disheveled than ever, but he's back to the uncharismatic wet towel that he was in Season 3, not the operator that he sort of became in Season 4. Only a couple scenes also on the Tom Hammerschmidt front. I assume that article will be, I guess, and Tom Hammerschmidt will be played out throughout the entire season. Alright, those are my thoughts on the first 2 episodes. Let's move on. Basically cover the 36 hours before the election and election day. So, all slowed down, almost real time, really, compared to the speed we normally get things on House of Cards, which means we're getting a lot more character moments, and a lot of phone calls, and a lot of meetings, and a lot of chess pieces, at least in episode 3, which is very much about setting up Election Day, an event we've been building to in the show since basically the end of Season 2, when Frank made it into the presidency and we all knew he'd have to face re-election. We've been building towards this moment for a long time, and it's very important the show sticks the landing. Bringing back Jim Matthews, take it or leave it, I didn't really care about the guy, he's a bland character. Doug and the Widow, again, we've had several Doug romantic subplots at this point. What's this bringing to the story? I did like Conway's day on Skype answering questions for 24 hours. Oy. He must be exhausted, and I guess he's awake the entire next day, so how many hours is he awake for in a row? 36? No wonder he looks like he's about to go psychotic at the end of election night if he's been up for 36 straight hours. I would be too if I was in his situation. So Frances and Claire sit down to watch Double Indemnity. I took a look at the plot of this movie. Very interesting in what it possibly could foreshadow in regards of House of Cards. So Election Day comes and goes, not much resolution. Domestic terrorism saves the day for Frances. That's an awful thing to say. Also a little bit of hacking from that tech guy Aiden, who I still don't care about. So they're gonna throw out the results of the election. You know, it's a very soap opera-ish way to go. I guess in retrospect, it was foolish to think that the entire election would be resolved on election night. Of course not. I want to talk about 2 of the new characters this season. Campbell Scott as Mark, who is the Conway's, I guess, campaign manager at the moment. Kelsey Jackson as Sean, the new young journalist helping out Tom Hammerschmidt. He's the, what, 5th or 6th young journalist we've had on this show. At this point, we're experiencing diminishing returns on how interesting these characters get. All right, that's all I've got for episodes 3 and 4. Let's move on. We are on to episodes 5 and 6, and wow, this season is moving quickly. By the end of episode 6, Claire is already the president, granted acting president of the United States. Don't get me wrong, I had an idea this was going to happen this season, but in 7 episodes from now, not at the midpoint, before the midpoint of the season, and yet here we are. Claire Underwood has ascended a bit temporarily, it would seem, to the highest stature in the land. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before episode 6, we have episode 5, the Daddy's Home episode. Frank returns to Congress to solve the now drawn-out election, and I gotta say, Veep already did this first. Here's what I mean. Claire ascends from VP nominee to president. Veep, the HBO political sitcom, did that plotline last year, so it's, you know, a little, I've seen it before. Granted, you know, I can't hold it against House of Cards that such a genius idea was already used before. And besides, House of Cards they're still putting their own, you know, opera spin on this. Lisa returns. I don't care about Lisa. I guess we're relitigating the whole Rachel Posner story. I thought we buried that quite literally, but okay, if that's where the show wants to go. The new journalist continues to make very little of an impression. That is a role that could have and probably should have been filled by one of the numerous journalists we already know exist within the House of Cards universe that for some reason have been discarded by the writers. Tom Yates is having an affair. Cool. Joel Kinnaman's performance has been wonderfully understated this season compared to the lunacy going on around him, and I have a feeling it's building to something big. I cannot wait to see this ticking time bomb go off. I think it's going to be an incredible event when that happens. Going back to pointless subplots, I think the show's trying to set up Leanne and Doug, while Doug is still with the widow who has had only, what, 2 scenes this season after 3 scenes last season. I don't know why the show is even trying to make us care about this plot line. Clearly the show doesn't care about this plot line. Well, those are my rough thoughts on episodes 5 and 6, and now I'm going to give my thoughts on the first half of the season. It's not perfect, but it's very good. I don't know if it's as good as the first half of season 4, which had a very streamlined running narrative about Claire trying to prove herself to Frank, trying to derail his presidency, and then Frank getting shot, and then Claire stepping in with Donald Blythe. That was a very cohesive narrative. This season so far is a lot of subplots being thrown together, and the election narrative is being, I don't want to say strung out, because this show, that's the entire point. The entire point is that Frank is stringing this out. But it sort of takes away from the impact. I feel like election night, that should be the pinnacle of the story, but now they're starting to take this long, and of course they are mixing things up, of course, by having Claire be the acting president, so the show is doing new things. What I am concerned about, though, is the fact that none of the new characters this season are really interesting. There was also a new congressman, apparently, another new congressman for Frank to compete against. I miss Mendoza. So there's just a lot of subplots about characters I'm not interested in that are taking up time and taking energy away from the main draw of the series. The lack of new interesting characters would only be an issue if the show wasn't pushing the story forward at an incredible pace. Since the start of the show, since the start of the season, in 6 episodes, we've had domestic terrorism, an election, a new acting president, Claire. So the speed at which the show is going through events and keeping us interested through the plot, I believe, I'm going to say, makes up mostly for the lack of new interesting characters in the season and a lot of tedious subplots. That said, it's all about sticking the landing. The second half of the season is probably more important than the first half, and I cannot wait to binge those episodes and review them for you. Thank you for watching the first half of my Season 5 review. Please stay tuned for more here on TV Junkie. Let's have a conversation in the comments. What do you think about the show so far? I'll see you guys later.